Hello, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to each of you as we enter for another enlightening session. Today's focus centers on our parajumbal question within the area of vulnerability, which comprises 6 sentences or sentence fragments. The challenge at hand is to methodically organize these components in a manner that fosters a coherent and meaningful idea. Traditionally, if you say that parajumbal questions are frequently encountered in competitive examinations, such as the Common Admission Test (CAT), in two distinct formats: the four-sentence arrangement test with the typographically errors to rectify, and the five-sentence based odd one out question types. However, if you observe that those of the questions do not carry negative marking, so for the purpose of our discussion today, where I have taken 6 sentences um, to discuss into a more intricate paradigm. You could say that the 6 sentence based paradigm will designed to take you to the techniques required to effectively tackle intricate sentence reordering. With unwavering enthusiasm, let us now embark upon this journey to find out the art of solving challenging parajumble questions. Okay, so let me take you to this particular question where we find out 6 sentences are there. Um, if I look into these 6 sentences, in which we need to follow different tricks or strategy, which help us to crack the answer or crack the sequence of this particular question. So the first thing is called as we need to read the sentences so that we get a general idea what this text is all about. Let's say that if I read it, the first sentence says Niti Aayog is a catchy acronym in keeping with the center's penchant for selling the brand of India. Second, Niti is short for National Institution for Transforming India. So if you observe this first and second sentence, what you can draw a kind of a connection between these two. Is called as a common keyword that is called as a Niti Aayog. So, and the second one is Niti. If I talk about that, then I could say that it is stated Niti Aayog is a catchy acronym. So, and that acronym is given in a full form here, that National Institution for Transforming India. So, in which we could say means A and B makes a kind of a pair here, right? So which we call it as a paired sequence approach, right? So in that paired sequence approach, we find out that both of the sentence make a kind of a connection, that's A and B. So we could consider Niti Aayog is a catchy acronym in keeping with the center's penchant for selling the brand of India. So, and the second one is said Niti is short for National Institution for Transforming India. So therefore, we could say that it is a one of the pair. Now, but uh, remember that I have not pointed here that whether the option A is a beginning one or option B is the ending one. I have just, while I have read the sentences, I have made a kind of a means uh, sequence, right? Wherever I find out any kind of a link that may be called as a repetition of the ideas or called as a connection of two keywords between the two sentences or parts of the sentences, or called as a linking of the language, like acronym. Niti's acronym is given in the National Institution for Transforming India. So fine, we find out one of the pair. We just assume that this A and B is a one of the pair. Now, look into the third option. What does it say? The winds of change sweeping across the corridors of power since Narendra Modi took charge at the center have dislodged not just bureaucrats but also institutions once regarded as key pillars of governance in the country. Now, what is the idea that you can draw from the option C? because you need to understand each sentence. What does it try to indicate? Because once you understand the key idea of each sentence, then it becomes easier for you to make a connection one with the other, right? And you would also find out that how the connection makes you. Now, if you observe option C doesn't talk anything related to the Niti Aayog, but it is stated that since Narendra Modi took charge at the center, um, have dislodged not just bureaucrats but also institutions, right? So it means Narendra Modi means changed and dislodged, which means called as a change to not just bureaucrats but also institutions. So these bureaucrats and institutions, which are means once known as a key pillars or main part of governance in the country, right, which have changed. So in that case, we could consider that C is talking about something very essential uh, about bureaucrats and institutions. So these two are known as important words or keywords you can consider. Now, so we cannot consider that she means connected with the A and B, but we observe that she could connect to any other options given after that. Let's see. D said, now the government asserts in its place a brand new Niti Aayog. Now, can you observe that here you would find out some of the discourse markers. So what are those discourse markers? Like you can talk about time sequence approach, which is given in option D, where it is stated now. It means it is indicating about the present situation. Second, the government usher in its place. Its place means whose place, right? So whose place a brand new Niti Aayog. Now this one is given about Niti Aayog, which is somehow connected to the option A and B, isn't it? But before we take the decision that D will go with the A and B, now we need to observe that. So now the government assess in its place a brand new Niti Aayog. Now we need to search that what that it is all about. So now, can we observe the option E? E said in Sanskrit and Hindi, for which the new dispensation has a liking. Niti means policy and Ayog means commission. And Niti Ayog hereby replaces the planning commissions. So can you see that we find out the word it's um, which is replacing to the pronoun noun that is known as a planning commission. So it is a pronoun, and the job of the pronoun is to replace the noun. So in that case, we could say means it is replacing planning commission, because now the government asserts in planning commission's place a brand new Niti Aayog, because that is what is given in option E. In Sanskrit and Hindi, for which the new dispensation has a liking. Niti means policy and Ayog means commission, and Niti Ayog hereby replaces the planning commissions. Fine. So we could consider that, but let's see that any other places where planning commission information is given or not. Let's see that in option F. What does it say? Among the big moves. Now, where does it talk about the big moves? Now, if you observe that in option C, where we talk about Narendra Modi took charge and changed not just bureaucrats but also institutions. It means Narendra Modi took some of the took charges and did some kind of a move, right? So some kind of a moves uh, related to the bureaucrats and institutions change. So in that case, if I observe option C and option A can make a kind of a pair. So because the option C said Narendra Modi took charge at the center, have dislodged not just bureaucrats, but also institutions which are once considered main pillars of governance in the country. Among the big moves of the government, one was to consign to history the more than 6 decades old planning commission. Now you can find out the introduction of old planning commission, right? So in that case, the idea which we point out here, that in option D, where we say that it will taking the place of planning commission, instead of that, it could refer to this one, right? Why? Because it is stated among the big moves of the government, one was to consign to history the more than 6 decades old planning commission, right? And then after you can point out, now the government assert in its place a brand new Niti Ayog, right? So then you can consider option C, option C, and option F, as well as option D makes a kind of a sequence here, or a kind of a relationship. C and F makes a kind of a pair here, and D comes after that, focusing with the noun pronoun relationship approach. And here it is a noun phrase which has been replaced with its in option D. So in that case, CFD could be called as a one of the sequence. So uh, D said that now the government assert in its place a brand new Niti Ayog. Then definitely the question comes out, what is that Niti Ayog? Now Niti Ayog is a catchy acronym in keeping with center's penchant for selling the brand of India. So, and we have already done the pair. So therefore we can say Niti is short for National Institution for Transforming India. So more about Niti that you can find out in option E, where it is stated in Sanskrit and Hindi, for which the new liking or new dispensation has a liking. Niti means policy and Ayog means commission. So this is something called as a extra or elaborate information about Niti Ayog, hereby replaces the planning commission. Therefore, we could consider the sequence should be that what? C, F, then D, A, B, and E, isn't it? So that is what the sequence of the this jumbled sentences. I hope you understood. So now if you want to make yourself clear, then you simply try to read the sentence on the basis of the sequence. The sequence should be the first is C, the winds of change sweeping across the corridors of power since Narendra Modi took charge at the center have dislodged not just bureaucrats but also institutions once regarded as key pillars of governance in the country, where it is pointed about the beginning of the idea that called it Narendra Modi means moved not just some bureaucrats but also institutions. And among the big moves, we find out the old planning commission was named, right? And uh, you can talk about at present the government asserts in its place or old planning commission's place a brand new Niti Ayog. So and that Niti Ayog is nothing but a catchy acronym. So selling the brand of India. Niti is short for National Institution for Transforming India. So, and in Sanskrit, Niti is referring to policy, Ayog means commission. So hereby replaces the planning commission, isn't it? So that's why the sequence is CFDABE. I hope you understood. That's all. Thank you.